Hey everybody, Lord Josh here once again. We're at the end of winter now, which means there's still a lot more yin in the air than yang, so things are still quite dangerous, quite risky. During the winter season, we should all go into a kind of energetic hibernation and avoid anything strenuous and exerting. This is a time for us as people to work at a slower pace, a time to sit back and relax. Now this is fairly easy to do, but before we can relax, we must prepare. Here, I'll be discussing a ritual that is practiced by Taoists to prevent and ward away snowstorms with the creation of a magical bag or pouch that contains various herbs, all with weather-controlling properties. The reasons for protection from snow are both practical and spiritual. So obviously the practical side of things involves you getting to work safely, not falling ill from illnesses, not slipping over. And the spiritual side is related to the heart chi and the middle dantian. This really is a transformation spell, and this method is one of the easiest and most effective when you break it down and explain it. So let's get into the creation process of the pouch. I will say this before I begin to explain the process. I have made some modifications to this spell to improve upon its original formula to make it even more potent. So what you'll be hearing here is a combination of the traditional elements and also what I've created in order for it to be a lot more effective and a lot more safe. So before you can get started, you must first robe yourself in the proper Taoist attire, which means predominantly black square-shaped robes with the golden lotus blossom headdress. Once you are robed, light the candles, red sandalwood incense, and activate your altar. The candles should all be red in color for this working. Now, in my opinion, I know we're breaking one of the golden rules here when it comes to weather magic. This spell should be practiced indoors. Although you can do it outside if you wish, it's important that you either have a fireplace burning or a cauldron of fire near you as you practice, because you want to be warm. This time of year it's quite cold outside. That could interfere with the practicing of the ritual. It is best if you spend some time in meditation before you actually begin the working. Imagine, while you're meditating, the snow disappearing. Imagine ice melting and visualize the snowstorm in your mind. Try to imagine the temperature within the air as it begins to become warmer and the strong wind begins to calm and die down a little bit. After you have done this, step into your Taiji magic circle and call out to the appropriate gods. You must petition a deity to assist you with the creation of the pouch. There are two ways that you can go about this. You can request the assistance of a solar deity to heat up the atmosphere and burn through the storm, or you can attempt communication with a wind deity and request that god to slow down or completely stop the winds. I personally recommend that you use the wind deity Feng Bo. Evoke him into your altar space and politely ask him to work with you whilst you energize the following herbs. You will need pepper, ginger, salt, peppercorn, and cayenne. You should place the peppercorn inside of a bowl made out of jade, which looks like this, then say out loud in a clear and commanding voice, "I charge you with protection." As you say this, at the end of the sentence, ring the copper bell once using your dominant hand. By ringing the bell, it acts as an explanation point to the words of power. Therefore, you will have a greater chance of the spell working. When you say the incantations, also do not speak from your throat or from your mouth. Try to speak directly from the middle of the chest, the middle dantian. I usually say the incantations more than once. Keep saying it until you feel satisfied that the peppercorn has been changed. After this, put a pinch of salt into the bowl and say, "I charge you with stability," Again, say the incantations as many times as you wish. Don't say it if you don't truly believe it, and don't forget to use the bell each time. This one is really important. Place the cayenne into the bowl and say, "I charge you with warmth." By now, you should feel yourself kind of getting deeper into a state of flow, a state of trance. Pick up a bit of ginger and put that into the mix as well, and say out loud, "I charge you with protection." Lastly, place some cloves and once again say, "I charge you with protection." Now you have all of the essential herbs inside of the jade bowl. Mix them up with your bare hands. Don't use any crushing tools. Just use your hands, your skin, to blend all of the herbs together and really crush them down. Don't rush the process. Take as long as you need to do this. As you are mixing them, visualize that you are warm and safe. You can see a large burning fire. Imagine what the fire would sound like in your mind as it crackles and burns. Smell and taste the smoke that the flames produce. You can feel the warmth on your skin. Do your best to paint a clear mental picture of an intense fire that is brighter and more vivid than any fire you have seen before. The better your imagination, the stronger the pouch will be. The last step to the ritual is removing the now consecrated herbs from the jade bowl and putting them onto a red, square-shaped cloth made of silk. It has to be red in color, and the material has to be silk. The color red works by heating and activating anything it comes into contact with. Try to put all of the herbs in the middle of the cloth. Face towards the direction of south and say out loud, "I call upon the presence of the red vermilion bird of the south to charge this pouch with burning chi and to dispel the bitterness of winter." Say this only once. To help with the visualization here, I'll help get you started. The red vermilion bird takes on the appearance of a fiery, bright pheasant with glowing, flaming feathers. So think of the bird as you say it out loud. And then lastly, fold the silk in half, then fold it in half again, attach a piece of string to it, make sure it is tight, nicely sealed, and secure it and say out loud, "I charge this pouch with yang qi." Then spend about 10 minutes in the deepest possible trance state that you can. I'm talking vivid visualization of a powerful snowstorm which is evaporating due to the burning energy of the sun. So you should see the sun's rays destroying the ice and frost like laser beams to the point where the snow becomes watery and non-existent. Picture in your mind supreme yang energy, which is red, orange, and yellow in color. Picture all that is lively and bright, all that is solid and masculine. Even though it is winter, imagine it is the height of summer and everything is teeming with life. Imagine that snowstorm disappearing. As you do all of this, keep the ultimate goal in your mind, which is turning the yin into yang, turning the cool into the warm. It usually takes me about 10 minutes to build up the images in my mind, and I found the best way to use the pouch is to simply keep it in your pocket. Do not allow it to be submerged in water, otherwise you'll have to make another one. So I guess the million-dollar question here is this: does it work? Is it effective in driving away snowstorms? Yes. I wouldn't waste my time creating these pouches if they didn't work. I've made about 15 of them in my life, and I kid you not, I've never had a single one fail on me yet. One of these pouches will easily last you the entire duration of winter. Just be careful not to let the herbs fall out. Since the herbs are blessed, they work by divine nature, meaning they are creations of heavenly sorcery. No snowstorms would be created because the relevant deities would not allow the storm to manifest. As long as you carry the pouch with you, you can consider the agreement between you and that deity as a contract, It's your end of the bargain to carry it, and it's the deity's end to regulate the weather in accordance to your wishes. One interesting thing that I have personally discovered about these pouches is that over time they can start to become a little weaker, meaning their energy begins to stop influencing the weather. But if you place the bag in front of a burning fireplace, within a few hours this will usually charge the bag back to full effectiveness. So in theory, you could just keep recharging it by placing it near the fireplace. But what happens is eventually the herbs inside the bag begin to rot and decay, so you'll have to eventually at some point create a new one. I like to do a risk assessment when I talk about rituals on YouTube. Some workings are really risky, whilst others are completely fine. This one is a bit of a mixed bag, no pun intended. Majority of the time when I talk to people, they say that this ritual is usually fairly safe. But I have a bit of a theory on how it could all go horribly wrong. So if you're scared easily by occult rituals going wrong, you're probably going to want to pause this video right now. When you're in meditation and you're visualizing fire and warmth and heat, there is a small but very real possibility that you could imagine a real fire into existence. You could will it into materializing, and you could actually cause the pouch to ignite by using strong intention. Now, I've never actually had this happen to me, but I have heard cases where very strong intention can actually cause things to rapidly combust. So do be careful with that. There are plenty of other ways to prevent snow in the Taoist system of weather magic, such as using a sunstone and making use of the yellow talismanic paper known as fu, but I believe that this method is the most effective. It's also very useful for countering another weather magician's spell. So let's say, for example, that a baneful weather magician has summoned a snowstorm that's coming straight to your location. Well, you could quickly create one of these pouches, and that person's snow spell would fail shortly after the creation. One thing I should also mention, you will need a decent level of knowledge of the power of color and how color relates to the practical application of feng shui. As you know, red is needed here, but you're going to want to avoid blue, because any interference from the color blue may result in failure of the spell. So if you are wearing blue clothes, or if you are practicing this spell in a blue bedroom, for example, things like that can cause failure. Red heats and activates, blue cools and deactivates. We don't want any cooling to occur because that could increase the severity of the snowstorm. This isn't to say that red is good and blue is bad, it's simply not an appropriate color to use in this instance. I personally refer to these bags as snow stoppers, so you definitely got to give one a try and let me know how it goes for you. And when I make them, I always think about the ancient times. You've got to think about all the adventurers and explorers, the people who had to craft one of these bags in order to survive. Very often with weather magic, it's a life or death situation where the magician really depends on the spell working. Reliability is one of the primary concerns of weather magicians. I could easily imagine Zhuge Liang crafting one of these snow pouches for his expeditions. Obviously back then the weather was so important for warfare as it is today. So take care everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.